There is much evidence for this, especially after the birth of modern astronomy. There have been several theories as to the size of the universe and why telescopes and things could never see an end, but the general consensus was always the universe is very big. This posed a new problem for theorists. The universe had not yet destroyed itself. Isaac Newton's law of gravity had been established for years, and then Albert Einstein was working on his theory of gravity when he realized something. If all the bodies in the universe had their own centers of gravity and pulled things toward themselves, why had the universe not pulled itself towards itself and imploded? When it came to 1929, astronomer Edwin Hubble was studying redshift. Redshift is when some form of radiation, in this case light, gets extra potent and kind of turns red. In some cases, like this, it turns into a kind of trail. By reading this redshift trail, Hubble realized the stars were all moving away from him, whatever direction they were. The theory to support this has been come up with by many people, but originally by Catholic priest Georges Lemaitre. And the theory is this: our whole universe was in a hot, dense state. Then, nearly 14 billion years ago, expansion started. Wait. The Earth began to cool, the autotrophs began to drool, Neanderthals developed tools, we built a wall. Math, science, history, unravel...
Stop. You're an idiot. Stop. We apologise for this. It's just ridiculous. We don't need to go this far.
With the Big Bang Theory came the creation of stars. Apparently the creation of everything happened within a few days, but we'll just skip that and go straight to the stars.
So, how are stars born? Well, a star is born, it grows up, perhaps it goes to school, gets an education. Then, maybe even meets the love of his life. Gets married, and then a star is born. Oh, no. You see, stars don't really need sexual reproduction for their species to survive.
Really?
They're just big balls of gas. So how is a star born? Well, they begin to form in a stellar nursery, or a nebula.
Cloud of gas! A nebula is a cloud of gas.
The process goes on. As the process goes on, a globule...
As this process goes on, a globule is created, slowly rotating and compressing from the gravitational force. As this globule eventually collapses under pressure, I'm sure you know that feeling, and what's left spins faster and cools down. The globule is cooled by emitting radio waves and infrared radiation. It is compressed by gravitational forces and also by shock waves of pressure from supernova or the hot gas released from nearby bright stars. These forces cause the roughly spherical globule to collapse and rotate. The process of collapse takes from between 10,000 to 1 million years. As the collapse proceeds, the temperature and pressure within the globule increases as the atoms are closer in proximity. Also, the globule rotates faster and faster. This spinning action causes an increase in centrifugal forces, a radial force on spinning objects that causes the globule to have a central core and a surrounding flattened disk of dust called a protoplanetary disk or an accretion disk. The central core becomes the star. The protoplanetary disk may eventually coalesce into orbiting planets and asteroids, etc. When a temperature of about 27 million degrees Fahrenheit is reached, nuclear fusion begins. This is the nuclear reaction in which hydrogen atoms are converted to helium atoms plus energy. This energy, radiation production, prevents further contraction of the star. You know, it would be a lot simpler if they reproduced like mammals.
Good evening. My name is Zayne Bennett.
Hi,
I'll
Zayne.
be reading the sport news for you.
No, you won't.
I won't?
No, you'll be reading the Milky Way news.
Oh dear. It seems I have not prepared for this.
Yes, you have.
Oh, have I? We live in one of the arms of the galaxy. We live in one of the arms of a large spiral galaxy called the Milky Way. The Sun and all its planets, including Earth, lie in its quiet part of the galaxy, about halfway from the centre. The Milky Way is shaped like a huge whirlpool that rotates once every 200 million years. It is made up of at least 1 billion stars. That's a lot of stars.
That's a lot of stars.
Ah, well. No, I read that wrong. 100 billion stars. That is still a lot.
It's a bit more than a lot.
That's a lot.
Yes.
Where even am I? As well as dust and gas, it is so big that light takes 100,000 years to cross it. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not paid for it. The centre of the galaxy is very hard to see because clouds of gas and dust block our view. Scientists think that it contains a supermassive black hole, which swallows anything that passes too close. Outside the main spiral are about 200 ball-shaped clusters of stars. Each globular cluster is very old and contains up to 1 million stars. The Milky Way belongs to a cluster of at least 40 galaxies. That's a lot of galaxies. The so-called local group has two large spiral galaxies, the Milky Way and the Andromeda. The Andromeda. The others are much smaller. They include two galaxies that can be seen with the naked eye. They include two galaxies that can be seen with the naked eye from countries south of the equator. Good news for Australia and Tasmania and New Zealand and anywhere.
Tasmania's a new country.
Apparently, according to you. The galaxies are called the Magellanic clouds. After the Portuguese explorer Ferdinand Magellan. This is the sport with the Milky Way. My name is Zayne Bennett, and good night.
It is believed that life has existed on this planet for 3 billion years. This is because the oldest found fossils have been dated at about 3.5 billion years, and that's quite old. These fossils are of microscopic organisms, so minuscule that they are only made up of one of the cells that humans have billions of. It's believed that the conditions for creating life on this planet were just after the planet was bombarded by meteorites and such, just after it was actually a planet. The life forms that were formed only consisted of 2 of the 3 types of life we have today: bacteria and archaea.
The theory of how we came to be the way we are was most famously put forward by Charles Darwin in 1842. Evolution and natural selection. This theory suggests that over time species change and mutate in accordance with the way we survive. With the original bacteria and the archaea, the ones with superior characteristics were the ones that survived more, and so their offspring had those characteristics, and the ones of those with superior characteristics would pass on those characteristics. This means that the image of the organisms changes over the millions and billions of years. As the changes happen, different branches of the organism appear. This is obvious with monkeys and humans. It's obvious that the 2 species are similar, with DNA tests revealing 1% difference. So the conclusion has been drawn that there was a common ancestor from both species evolved. Other evidence for evolution is that we've found fossils of creatures that are no longer alive, yet share similarities with current animals, such as snake-like creatures with legs. Such a snake-like creature with legs. No. Over time, these creatures lost these traits to become the creatures they are today. Or at least, that's the theory.